Yo, we have a lot to talk about here. We need to talk about opportunity with specific players that really need to be thrown to the fire. Okay, there's no excuse for it. Number two, talk about the defensive line. We'll talk about the nickel spot, which is the most important thing going into this Monday Night Football game against the Buccaneers. Not even just this game, but the rest of the year and what the Eagles are going to do. And it seems like nothing has really happened yet. So there could be some movement and more than we expect. And there's one thing that really needs to happen here. So let's get into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. I hope everybody is enjoying their work week. Another day keeps going by until the Eagles play on Monday Night Football, and obviously a lot to really go over regarding, what we're going to be doing at the nickel spot, what we're going to be doing at special teams, what's happening this week with some of these positions. And it looks like we already got our answer at special teams at punt returner for Britton Covey. Looks like Covey has already been brought to the active roster already, which I was hoping to freaking God it wasn't going to happen, and it is. I mean, there's people on Twitter that are just like, oh, well, he's the best-looking punt returner. He's the best-looking punt returner that we have. He's underrated. I'm like, dude, I'm off the hype train with Britton Covey. I'm sorry, but I'm done. Okay? The only reason why he looks the best out of everybody is because Michael Clay hasn't given anybody a fair shot at this position. Not even a fair shot with Devin Allen. Not a fair shot with Olamide Zaccheaus. I mean, somebody. At this point, I can't say that Covey has won the job, just took it from everybody. I can't say that because look what you put on the field in the offseason, in training camp. Opportunity, and nobody has gotten that. And it pisses me off. Okay? So now, Britton Covey, we're stuck with him the rest of the year unless he gets hurt. Okay? That's it. You brought up to the active roster 3 times. This is the third time for the third game. Brought to the active roster. Since Avonte Max is now on injury reserve. Okay, so to fill that spot, they signed a running back, which is Bryant Koback. To give you a little insight, because I have no idea about this player whatsoever. Bryant Koback, 6'6", 210 pounds. Had 208 carries for 1,400 yards, 6.7 yards per carry, and 15 touchdowns for Toledo in 2021. The Vikings signed him as an undrafted rookie free agent in 2022. He's also spent time in the Seahawks practice squad. He has not appeared in an NFL game. So I don't even care. That running back means absolutely nothing to me. That's just to fill a roster spot at the end of the day. But I'm still a little pissed off over, they've just given no opportunity. Like the one thing, now knowing everything, well, not really knowing everything, but now knowing the overall view of this team and this offseason program has got to change. Because Michael Clay, whether this team does good, this special teams unit does good, but we were saved last week on 4 turnovers. I'm sorry. We made some of those turnovers, but that punt return that they had resulted in a turnover with Justin Evans, getting the fumble. The special teams is bad. It's really bad. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to lose us a game. Like, all it had to do was, if they didn't turn that ball over against the Vikings, if the Vikings didn't turn that ball over on punt return, it could have been a different game. Every little move in that game could have turned into a loss for the Eagles, literally. Everything was very crucial in that game last week, okay? And that's just what it is, man. We're going to see how it is. I'm going to be rooting for the kid. Like, I'll root for Covey and hope he does well, but I just don't trust the offseason moves and not giving guys enough opportunity for special teams and return specialists. Kick return doesn't really matter right now because who's really kicking, I mean, you don't even see a kick return now the past couple weeks already. So that's what's going on with that. And the good news, DeAndre Swift, NFC Offensive Player of the Week, which is great. 175 yards, 28 carries, and was averaging 5.9, about 6 yards a carry pretty much. Just fantastic what DeAndre Swift did last week. And obviously with Gainwell being out, Boston Scott had a concussion and really took over that game with Rashad Penny being more of that reserved running back that they could really use on short yardage, short yardage downs, red zone. Rashad Penny can be used. And Rashad Penny only had 3 steps last week, so I definitely want to see more of that. I definitely like the combination of Swift and Scott last week when Gainwell was out, but let me tell you something. This Monday night, I don't care what Nick has to say. I know that hopefully this is a smokescreen when Nick's saying, oh, we're just going to go with the hot hand. Whatever running back works in the game, we'll just go with the hot hand. Let me tell you something. If Gainwell has more carries, okay, you don't go with the hot hand. You go with your best running back. You go with your best skill player in your running back core or at any position. And we know that DeAndre Swift is the best, okay, the best talent in your running back room right now. Don't give me the hot hand bullshit. Okay, there's no hot hand bullshit. And, I get it. With certain teams, maybe certain running backs do work better. Maybe, they can't, you know what I mean? So it's nice to have different skill set of running backs in that room. But I'm telling you right now, I better not see DeAndre Swift take a back seat and just, get into the pass. If you want to line up Swift on the outside or line up Swift, you know what I mean? If you want Gainwell on the field, you want to line up Swift as a wide receiver 3 or something, or put him next to Dallas Scott. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. They did it all at training camp. Because the wide receiver 3 position, the Eagles barely targeted that position last week. Zacchaeus got in for Quez Watkins. We haven't heard an update on Quez Watkins yet with the right hamstring injury, and they didn't even target Zacchaeus one time. So if you want to use Swift as a wide receiver, use him on the flat. I mean, use him somewhere out there. He can catch the ball very well. If they want to do that, I'm perfectly fine with it. But I'm telling you right now, man, I better. We know what this running back core is going to. We know who the best talent is, and I'm saying I think there's a nice rotation. You can still do a nice rotation there, but I know what player I should be watching a lot more of on this coming Monday night and the rest of the damn season. You obviously don't want to, I don't want him to have 175 yards on 28 carries. That won't happen. That's because we only had 2 running backs left by the middle to end of the game. So that makes sense, but. Good for DeAndre Swift to get some attention. Past 2 weeks, we've had Special Teams Player of the Week with Jake Elliott, and then week 2, we have NFC Offensive Player of the Week, DeAndre Swift, which is great. Now, I talk about opportunity, and that's Sidney Brown. Okay, we see what the Eagles have been doing. Okay, from what it looks like so far, because the Eagles have worked out one outside corner in William Jackson, which he had a bulging disc last year, and he got a big contract with Washington a few years ago. And in those past couple years with Washington, he did absolutely nothing, and didn't live up to the contract. So what it looks like right now, they're not even going after a nickel cornerback. They're not going after Bradley Roby. They're not going after at least anybody, Chris Harris Jr. or somebody out there. Okay, it looks like they're going to promote from within. It looks like they're going to move some of their guys around, and apparently guys have cross-trained. James Bradbury might have a chance to play inside. That's what it's looking at. If they're working out outside corners, that means that Bradbury is most likely moved to the inside, which they think they have a lot of faith in Josh Jobe, which I think Josh Jobe played fantastically well. The Addison touchdown was really not on him. Really just, Justin Evans didn't really peel off for the safety help on that play. I think Josh Jobe did a really good job. You got Mike Evans, you got Chris Godwin this week. So you got another tough group of wide receivers you got to face this week. Sidney Brown just hasn't had a chance at safety, hasn't had a chance really anywhere else, and I feel like they got to throw him somewhere. Okay, now Sidney Brown lined up in the slot at Illinois 177 times in 2022. He was tied for 8th, in the NCAAF with enforced incompletions. Eighth place, in the league with forced incompletions. You have a guy now. The problem is, I don't know how much they've worked Sidney Brown at the nickel spot. They probably haven't worked him there at all whatsoever. Maybe they have on days where we didn't, hear about the practices. Maybe they did stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about. But I think Sidney Brown needs a shot somewhere. I think he will be a starter. I think we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. It's going to happen. I mean, special teams, he's great. He makes great tackles, and he's fast going downfield. And then he wants to be feared in this league. He wants receivers and tight ends to be fearful of going across the middle of that field with him just sitting there. He's already discussed what he wants to be in the NFL. And the thing is, he's just not getting a chance. So if they haven't cross-trained him this training camp, anybody they haven't cross-trained, they're not going to start them this Monday night. And if they do, then it's probably going to be a big mistake. Hopefully not, but I don't think you take an outside corner or a safety. You put him at nickel and expect them to do the best on Monday night, learning a new position. If they haven't played there, I know Sidney Brown, like I said, has played in that spot in college a lot. Okay, Justin Evans has played the nickel spot in the past. Second round pick in 2017, has played both safety and the nickel spot. Okay, but like I said, have they cross-trained those guys this past offseason? And if they haven't, I don't know if they're going to waste their time and put them in that position. So from what it looks like, if they're trying to find an outside corner for more depth purpose, like William Jackson III, now they didn't sign anybody yet, but that's only one guy they brought in. There could be a couple others that come in. We still have a few more days. We still have a few more days, so they have extra time to bring in more guys. If they're bringing in outside corners, it's looking like Bradbury is going to play on the inside this week. That's what it looks like. Because Mario Goodrich, I'm not saying I don't like him. I think he's smart. I think he's physical. But, at some points, he just, he had a hard time with Hawkinson last week. His one-on-one tackling wasn't fantastic. And I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he just needs more playing time, more time to learn, another offseason. I'm not saying he can't make any noise this year, but definitely a lot of value when you have Mario Goodrich in his first full game of his career, Josh Jobe in his first full game of his career on the outside, which is a great thing. So you never know when you're going to need these guys again down the line. When guys get hurt, things do happen. You know what I mean? So I think we just got to take it with a grain of salt at the end of the day. So the nickel spot, it's looking like Bradbury's moving on the inside this week, unless they bring in some more. We need to cross-train heavily on somebody. They should have cross-trained heavily on somebody this past offseason to be more of a hybrid-type player. I don't care if you're a safety. If you're a safety, I'd cross-train everybody to a certain position. Somebody at least, because the Eagles don't have that. The Eagles don't have that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson / Malcolm Jenkins move-around type piece. They just don't have it. And when you don't have that piece, then you have to go out and look, or you have to promote from within and cross-train from within. I mean, if there's a player that can literally switch positions for this week, for the rest of the season, that hasn't moved to nickel in their career or something, I guess it's possible, but I hope it doesn't affect us that much. The secondary is definitely in question. I don't have any questions about the outside with Bradbury and Slay, but when it comes to nickel, man, I mean, they definitely prepared for it, because when they were playing Bradbury in the nickel spot in training camp, I think we had a feeling that they just didn't have trust in Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox was hurt 2 times last year. He was hurt with a toe injury this training camp. This just passed by, and then he just got the pectoral surgery. And I've heard so many Eagles fans already saying like they want Maddox out. Like, he's a $10 million cap hit next year. I don't know if you're going to restructure him, or maybe they're just going to trade him at the end of the day next year. I don't know, but we'll see. But secondary will be in question at that nickel spot this week, and where they move Bradbury, or if they sign somebody to put in that spot, we'll see. But they've only worked out one guy so far this week. We'll find out. Now I want to talk about, obviously, the run defense has been fantastic. I mean, I think when it comes to they're first in rushing yards allowed. I think it's like 52, 53 yards, which is fantastic. And that's because Jordan Davis is well, I thought that Jordan Davis would take more of those double teams. And really going into a second year was really, I need him to beef up this year really badly after that high ankle sprain last year. being a top 13 defensive tackle against the run last year before the high ankle sprain, signing Ndamukong Suh, signing Linval Joseph, and really adding more depth to that position last year. Man, Jordan Davis has just conquered. Even what he did last week when he was pushing the guard into the tight end, that push into Kirk Cousins. Literally. I think he only has like 2 sacks for the season, or a sack and a half, something like that, because I think he had a half sack the first game with Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat playing fantastic, by the way. Jordan Davis is just a wrecking ball right now. They'd rather double on Fletcher Cox, and I'm excited to see like how teams now are going to view Jordan Davis as he gets more attention every single week. But 52, 53 yards against the run. Barely any teams can run up the middle on us, barely. More to the outside, definitely, but teams can't do that. The only thing I'd say about this secondary going forward is they're just giving too much. This team can get so much sacks. They can get so many more. The cushion is just too soft on really good players. So that really just annoys me a little bit in that department. But I think, and hopefully it should be better. And Jalen Carter has just been, 10 hurries, 11 pressures. I think he's third in pressures in the league right now. It's absolutely insane. 2 sacks or 1 sack, 2 sacks, 1 sack. I forgot how many sacks he's got. As long as he's being disruptive, guys, like that's all that matters. Like the sack numbers don't really matter to me. I think he will get his, like I said, we're only going to week 3 right now. I think he will be taking quarterbacks to the ground in no time, but if he disrupts in the backfield, it's only going to help somebody else that's next to him. I can't imagine like having Jordan Davis and like Jalen Carter like together. Like how I think they do split it up where Carter is more. He had less snaps last week and had a better game than he did against the Patriots, which is insane. He had less snaps last week. So it really does show, man. And I think you put Howie Roseman put a lot of value into the trenches, man. And like he always does, okay, you spent 2 first-round picks on 2 defensive tackles, and they're doing an amazing job. Carter is just, Jordan Davis, we're kind of worried about his conditioning. He didn't look like he was in the best shape last year. I think we could be realistic on that because at the end of the year, I was like, he got thrown in the ground a lot of times. His motor wasn't great. He ran out of gas in the tank way too easily. This year is a totally different story. And like I said, the only way that Jordan Davis doesn't become a bust is I think his weight needs to be managed. His conditioning and weight really needs to be managed. His health needs to be managed, no doubt, because if he gains too much weight or something like that, he will lose his explosiveness and it will be a wasted pick. And I think we'll be fine. Like I said, a lot of Georgia guys on this team, and the support has been unreal from a lot of these guys. I think it definitely helps to have that there. But we'll see what happens. But so far, defensive line, I really don't have any issues with. It's really just, I think we need to see more from Derek Barnett. I think we need to see more from, Brandon Graham had a couple pressures, you know what I mean? So hasn't had a sack yet, but I think Brandon Graham will be fine. Josh Sweat has been the best defensive end we had. Nolan Smith, 14 snaps in 2 weeks. He needs a lot more snaps. It's just ridiculous right now. Just can't do it that way. It's just ridiculous. But I just think it really depends on these cornerbacks because just the soft, way too much cushion on some of these coverages, not enough. I'm not saying you gotta be pressed right in somebody's face every play, but they gotta stop giving up 5 to 7 yards of an open tight end or an open receiver. You're not really giving this pass rush enough time. You're really just giving away yards pretty easily. Eagles are 2-0 right now, but this is definitely a learning curve for Sean Desai or something. We got to see something better than this with the coverage. You have a defensive line that if you're just going to give that many yards away as a cornerback and line them up that far away, you might as well not even have this defensive line and putting money into this defensive line because it's not going to amount to anything. If you play too much cushion. Like I said, I understand. I'm not asking to blitz on every play and play press every play, but I just got to see more fits, and shadowing, players. Like I think it was kind of ridiculous that Slay wasn't shadowing, the best player last week. It definitely showed, but apparently it worked, and the Eagles made some good plays last week defensively. So we'll see how it goes, but that is the news on the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, opportunity. it looks like Covey will be the punt returner for the rest of the year, and I'm hoping Sidney Brown would like to get a shot, at nickel, or if they like Goodrich, or it looks like Bradbury is moving to the inside. We'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. See if they sign anybody this week. So let me know what you guys think about the nickel spot. What would you do at that position? How happy you are about the defensive line so far, and who really needs to? And like I said, Reddick, Hassan Reddick, I've been talking about it too. Very early, he hasn't done much of anything. He has one combined tackle for the year, but time will come. We're going into week 3, so it's not week 8, it's week 3, guys. It's very early, so I totally get it. So other than that, if you last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well for more Eagles content every single day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Peace.